So when I'm trying to, here's the thing, like just super pragmatically, right? This is not written anywhere. This is not going to be found on many blogs. There's probably a few categories of enterprises that are like, okay, I'm a Microsoft shop, or I'm a Oracle shop, or sometimes most of the time they go together, but I'm an IBM shop, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's got their own flavors of Kubernetes and all that whole cloud native circus that comes there, right? How, and then on the other hand, you'll see the Cloud Native Compute Foundation, they're shepherding a whole ecosystem of amazing cutting edge venture capital funded startup tools that are doing observability and container management and orchestration and this, that, and the other. So now I'm a CIO of an IBM or Microsoft shop or whatever. Like, I'm scratching my head, like, IBM's telling me, hey, I got this. And then, I'm seeing this from a venture capital conference I was at. And I go, how do I even begin to think about all this stuff across the whole stack?
I think that that's ultimately that's the challenge of the way this market is being presented to enterprise consumers, right? Is if you sit there as this C-suite executive and you're one of those people who recognizes the need for change and then goes and does some research, attends some events, and you just see this wall of stuff. I think that's actually where the community is inhibiting its ability to acquire more of these kinds of customers, because you have to identify, as the technology leader of a business, what is going to be your brand around technology, right? You can be one of those companies that home rolls. It does do it all with open source, that you have to, you get in really talented engineers, you make a name for your business as someone who's actively contributing to enhancing this technology world. But you have to have a really good reason for wanting to do that, right? The alternative is the way that it's been done for decades before, right? Which is to buy it from someone. And when you buy it from someone, you don't have to worry about the massive infographic of the Cloud Native Compute Foundation's ecosystem. You go to a vendor, just like you have with your IBMs and your Microsofts, and say, look, these are the problems I need to solve. Can you solve them for me? And they'll wrap it. Ultimately, do you want to be your own SI, or do you want to get an SI to come and do it for you? I don't think that world's changed. I just think that people are so keen and enthusiastic to talk about the community that the perception of an enterprise buyer is that I have to engage at that level to get value from it. It's not like that anymore. If you want to go buy it, go buy it. If you want to go build it, go build it. Just be clear about which one you're doing.
I get what you're saying. The concept of wrapping is safe. It reduces swivel chair syndrome of looking at 900 different points of control. But at the same time, like, I was talking to a head of a business unit at a large enterprise and about APIs, and they were saying they were using IBM's API gateway. And I almost barfed. I was like, oh my God, like, I guess maybe because I've been a MuleSoft, I've been biased, but I get it. But let's put that aside for a minute, or maybe it's slightly related. But if I'm trying to attract developers and talent and the best talent, is this an exaggerated issue that you need to provide, tools that they will actually learn with and from, or don't? I'm just wondering, is there a direct correlation between the sexiness in your tool sets and then the fact that you have, you're using Prometheus versus some IBM thing that'll help you stand out and attract good talent?
It's a good question. I mean, I think that when you start talking about your IBMs and your Oracles, you put a lot of these views into a pressure cooker, because there are legacy technology brands that have made the transition into being seen as relevant, and there are still ones that are potentially struggling with some of those conversations. So, we talked about Microsoft, right, as being the kind of huge dinosaur, but equally, I've got absolutely no problem engaging my engineering and development teams to come work for me on an Azure platform. They're super happy. We get everything we need in terms of modern services around API management. We're not thinking about Prometheus. We use Azure Kubernetes services. We use App Insights. You know, we're buying that pre-rolled version because when you go to one of those major cloud providers, they've already refined these services, right? You don't have to worry about rolling your own. You just go consume the service. So I think, you know, the distinction is when you're looking at your vendor landscape, thinking about your cloud transformation, have you got the vendors already in your place of work that are going to help you? Or have you got a bunch of vendors that are actually part of the problem?
So it's very controversial in my mind to say that, you know, all these vendors that are not helping their chances of being adopted by large enterprises because they're one of the logos on a board, one of the 900 logos on an infographic, which is, you know, very Silicon Valley, right? You go to all the conferences, all the vendors are there, they're getting funded, they're all there. And all the big vendors either acquire them or learn from them or copy them, and you know, but that's a tough one. Yeah.
I mean, it's there, right? So you get a project into CNCF, you get incubated, then you get acquired, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Red Hat then ultimately got acquired themselves, but they made a great play for 10 or so years of acquiring high value open source projects and rolling them into the Red Hat enterprise ecosystem.
Yeah, 3Scale, all these guys. Yeah.